The 1989 Batmobile isn't just a car. It's a collision of art, engineering, and obsession. Conceived in darkness and built under pressure, it nearly became something completely different, shaped by corporate battles, failed prototypes, and last-minute miracles. Beneath its sleek armor lies a Frankenstein's mix of junkyard parts, jet fighter components, and pure cinematic illusion. It's beautiful, brutal, and bizarre in equal measure. A machine that defined an era of superhero filmmaking while almost destroying itself in the process. This isn't just the story of a movie prop. It's the untold story of a monster that Hollywood barely contained. GM's multi-million-dollar veto. When it came time to actually build the Batmobile, the production team naturally approached major auto manufacturers. This led to a truly shocking what-if moment in film history. General Motors was extremely interested in the project. In fact, a source states, General Motors were going to spend $6 million to build the cars, but wanted to use their own design, wanting to discard the drawings of Julian Kaldau. Let's put that figure in perspective. $6 million, especially in the late 1980s, was an enormous sum to dedicate to a film's custom vehicles. But it came with an impossible condition. General Motors wanted to completely throw out the unique, finalized design, the sleek jet-powered monster that illustrator Julian Kaldau and production designer Anton Furst had perfected. In its place, General Motors intended to use one of their own in-house concepts. This one decision could have changed cinematic history. The entire dark, gothic aesthetic of the film was on the line. We almost got a Batmobile that might have looked more like a typical 80s corporate concept car, rather than the timeless, brutalist art piece that defined the movie. The project's fate rested on producer John Peters. In a move that prioritized artistic integrity over a massive corporate payday, Peters flat-out refused General Motors' $6 million offer. He was determined to protect the original vision. That choice, to sacrifice a huge budget injection just to keep the car's design intact, is the only reason the iconic 1989 Batmobile even exists. Batman's ears had issues. Batman's cowl is iconic, with its tall, pointed ears creating an instantly recognizable silhouette. But bringing this design to life for Michael Keaton revealed a surprisingly practical problem. Initially, Batman's ears were too big to clear the roof when he entered the Batmobile, and a modified cowl with shorter ears had to be made. The combination of a molded rubber suit and exaggerated ear length clashed with the low-profile cockpit of the Batmobile. The vehicle's stylized design left little room for maneuvering, and the original cowl simply wouldn't fit through the opening. Raising the Batmobile's roof was not an option, so the solution required a careful but humorous adjustment. The ears themselves had to shrink. A modified cowl was created specifically for scenes where Keaton entered or exited the car. The new design shortened the ears just enough to allow him to slide in smoothly, without scraping the roof or damaging the suit. This adjustment maintained the vehicle's dramatic silhouette, while accommodating the physical limitations of the actor in costume. This small, precise modification illustrates the meticulous planning required when translating a fantastical comic design into a functional, live-action vehicle. Even a minor element, like the half-inch length of Batman's rubber ears, could create production challenges. It serves as a reminder that in filmmaking, no detail, however iconic, can ignore the realities of human proportions and engineering constraints. Afterburner lasted only 15. One of the Batmobile's most defining features is that massive cone-shaped flame that rockets from its rear exhaust. It's the ultimate visual cue for Batman's raw power and high-speed escapes. What's amazing is that unlike many movie cars, the Batmobile's gadgets were built to be genuinely functional practical effects. But that signature afterburner, while real, came with a shocking limitation. Nearly all the gadgets on the car actually worked, with the notable exception of the stop-motion cocoon mode. That impressive afterburner, however, was severely limited. It could only be fired for 15-second bursts at a time, simply because its fuel consumption was unbelievably high. Only 15 seconds. That incredible plume of fire we see on screen wasn't a sustainable propulsion system. It was a carefully controlled, incredibly brief special effect. The system was essentially a massive flamethrower, and the amount of fuel it devoured to create that spectacular visual was so immense that it could only be operated in tiny bursts. This meant the stunt team had a tiny 15-second window to get the shot every time you see that afterburner ignite for a dramatic escape. If the driver held the button down for any longer, they'd risk completely draining the specialized fuel supply. This adds a layer of real-world pressure to what always looked like an unstoppable, limitless machine. The car's most dramatic feature was, in reality, its most resource-intensive and fleeting: a failed Jaguar Mustang platform. We know the final 1989 Batmobile was a custom-built masterpiece, but its mechanical DNA is a fascinating mix. The car that was ultimately built rode on the chassis of a Chevrolet Impala, was powered by a Chevy V8, and used a 1970 Corvette body as the starting point for its mold. This combination, however, was not the production's first choice. It was the solution they turned to after their initial plans completely fell apart. The build team's first attempts at creating the Batmobile involved two other very well-known cars. Development to build the car on a Jaguar platform failed. A second attempt using a Ford Mustang also failed. It's remarkable to think of a timeline where Batman drives a Bat Mustang or a Bat Jag. While those are both icons of style and performance, they were completely unsuitable for the specific extreme vision of this film. The design called for an incredibly long, low, and imposing vehicle that looked more like a land-based jet than a production car. Neither the Mustang nor the Jaguar platform could provide the necessary scale or architecture to be stretched to the required 20-foot length. This failure forced the team to scrap those ideas and find a different solution. They landed on the robust, body-on-frame Impala chassis, which was strong and long enough to handle the extreme modifications, finally allowing the design to become a physical reality. A Junkyard Impala foundation. The 1989 Batmobile looks like it was built from scratch in a secret high-tech lab. It's a nearly 20-foot-long jet-powered weapon that seems almost alien in its design. But the secret origin of this cinematic icon is far more grounded and humble than you could ever imagine. The car's foundation wasn't a military prototype or an exotic supercar. The Batmobile, driven by Michael Keaton, was actually based upon a 1967 Chevrolet Impala. But the story gets even stranger. The film was being produced in England, and the build team needed a strong, body-on-frame American car to serve as the base. They reportedly located this specific Impala, not from a collector or an importer, but from a local London junkyard. That's right. One of the most famous and imposing vehicles in movie history started its life as a piece of discarded American metal sitting in a British scrap heap. The team salvaged this Impala, using its long, robust chassis as the skeleton. This frame was then heavily modified and stretched to achieve the Batmobile's extreme length, before being wrapped in that iconic, custom-sculpted fiberglass body. It's an incredible rags-to-riches story for a car, transforming a junkyard find into a Gothic work of art. A truly massive footprint. The 1989 Batmobile is instantly commanding, but its official dimensions take that presence to another level. Length, 260.7 in. Converting that measurement reveals a staggering length of 21.725 feet. That is enormous, giving the car nearly the footprint of a small armored truck or a full-size limousine, and far exceeding most modern SUVs and sedans. This extreme scale reinforces the Batmobile's role as an imposing, unstoppable force on Gotham's streets. To put it in perspective, a modern full-size luxury sedan rarely stretches beyond 210 inches. Making the Batmobile almost a full 5 feet longer. Achieving this dramatic length required significant ingenuity in design and construction, including splicing together two separate chassis frames. Despite its extreme proportions, the car maintains a sleek aerodynamic silhouette, a testament to Anton Furst and Julian Kaldau's masterful design. The sheer size also explains why the Batmobile dominates every scene it appears in. Its elongated form gives it a presence that feels almost militaristic, projecting power and menace without any need for dialogue or action. The 260.7-inch length isn't just a number, it's a critical part of the car's character, allowing it to feel both functional and theatrical. Real jet fighter DNA. The front end of the 1989 Batmobile is one of its most striking features, dominated by a massive jet-style intake and sharp, aggressive fenders. In addition, the vehicles have a V8 Chevrolet engine, components of a Rolls-Royce jet engine for the hood-mounted intake, and a British Harrier fighter jet utilized for the turbine blades in the nosepiece. This reveals that the car's iconic nosepiece was built using real military-grade components, not just molded fiberglass meant to look high-tech. The turbine blades within the intake were salvaged from a British Harrier fighter jet, an aircraft renowned for its vertical takeoff and landing capabilities. Adding to the aerospace authenticity, Rolls-Royce jet engine parts were also integrated into the hood-mounted intake. The combination of American muscle from a V8 Chevrolet engine and specialized British military components created a visually and mechanically believable high-speed machine, blending automotive and aerospace technology in a way few films have attempted. This approach gave the Batmobile a tangible sense of power and sophistication, enhancing its aggressive, futuristic aesthetic. The use of actual jet components lent credibility to the car's jet propulsion appearance, making it feel like it could perform feats beyond ordinary street cars. Every angle, every intake, and every blade contributes to the illusion that this is not just a car, but a fully capable, high-tech, crime-fighting vehicle. Vintage racing design roots. The Batmobile's design seems to spring directly from a dark, gothic future, a complete fantasy. Yet, the build team was actually looking deep into automotive history to find the car's unique soul. Their stated goal was pure expressionism. They weren't just building a car. They were creating a shape that would communicate raw power, speed, and menace, rather than adhering to any conventional, practical vehicle design. They pulled inspiration from two radically different and very specific eras. The first source was the legendary salt flat racers of the 1930s. This is where the Batmobile gets its almost absurd 21.7-foot length, its incredibly low profile, and its sleek aerodynamic silhouette. It was directly influenced by those custom, streamlined machines built for one purpose: chasing land speed records on the Bonneville salt flats. This choice injected a sense of pure, unrestrained velocity into the car's DNA. But that slender elegance was only half the equation. To get its aggressive muscular feel, they combined that 30s profile with Stingray macho machines of the 1950s. This influence is what gives the car its powerful rounded fenders, its defined cockpit, and its imposing, brutal stance. It's the visual language of post-war American power. This deliberate fusion is the car's true genius. It blends the high-speed, streamlined profile of a 30s land speed record chaser with the raw, muscular aggression of a 50s sports car. This is what created the final, veritable tank design, a perfect and timeless mix of two of motoring's most expressive and powerful eras. A 1967 Impala skeleton. We've established that the Batmobile's foundation is a Chevy Impala, but the specific model year is a fantastic detail for car lovers. The vehicle's powerful, dramatic appearance is all custom fiberglass, but its core structure, the frame that dictates its immense length, is pure 1967 Chevrolet Impala. Underneath the Batmobile's sleek armor lies the stretched chassis of this specific model. The choice of a 67 Impala is significant. It was a large, sturdy car known for its robust body-on-frame construction, making it an excellent and durable choice for a heavy, elongated movie prop. This car needed to withstand stunt driving, carry the weight of the massive custom body, and house a powerful engine and gadgets. The production crew, needing the Batmobile to be truly immense, took this Impala chassis and physically stretched it. This modification was absolutely necessary to achieve the signature, highly exaggerated dimensions, especially that impossibly long hood that became a key part of its character. This specific 1960s chassis provides the essential backbone for the entire fantasy. This seemingly mundane fact, that a reliable family car from 1967 is the structural heart of this Gothic masterpiece, is what makes the car's engineering so intriguing. It's a testament to the special effects team's ingenuity, taking a common, mass-produced frame and radically transforming it into an enduring cinematic icon, a $1 million movie prop. The 1989 Batmobile is clearly a priceless piece of movie history, but when one of the originals comes up for sale, we get a very clear idea of its staggering monetary value. While countless high-quality replicas have been built by fans and custom shops over the decades, the officially sanctioned, screen-used vehicles are in a league of their own. These originals command astronomical prices from serious collectors who want a genuine piece of the magic. This value was put on full display recently. A Batmobile that was genuinely used on screen during the production of the Tim Burton films was reportedly sold at auction in 2022 for nearly $1.5 million. This isn't just a high price. It's a figure that rockets the car into the territory of the world's most elite and sought-after collector automobiles. It reflects the intense current demand for authentic, one-of-a-kind pieces of cinematic history. This enormous value highlights the premium placed on provenance, the concrete proof that this specific car was the one audiences saw on film, driven in stunts or featured in key scenes. To put that price in perspective, even a high-quality, officially licensed replica, such as one used for promotional displays at a Six Flags theme park, was estimated to sell for a fraction of that price. That car's estimate was in the $220,000 to $260,000 range. That huge gap, the difference of over $1 million, is the value of true authenticity, the stop-motion cocoon armor. One of the Batmobile's most memorable gadgets is its cocoon mode, that heavy, impenetrable armor that slides into place, protecting the car from vandals and gunfire. The sequence where the panels deploy in the 1989 film looks incredibly complex and mechanical, with each piece locking in with a satisfying, heavy thud. It's easy to assume the special effects team built an elaborate, fully automated system of hydraulics and sliding panels that could operate in real time. But the truth is far more analog and charmingly old school. The effect was achieved using a classic filmmaking technique that dates back to the silent era. For the scenes where the Batmobile deployed its cocoon armor, a separate, life-size model of the vehicle was built. The animation of the armor sliding into place was then provided entirely by stop-motion technology. This means the effects crew had to physically move each armor panel by hand, a tiny fraction of an inch at a time, taking a single picture for every single movement. When all those individual frames were played back at full speed, this incredibly labor-intensive process created the illusion of a smooth, automated mechanical transformation. This blend of a high-tech concept with a time-honored, practical effect is a perfect example of movie magic. It's what gives the movement that unique, slightly unreal, yet weighty quality. Interestingly, this technique was already on its way out. By the time Batman Returns was filmed just a few years later, the cocoon effect was instead achieved using computer-generated imagery, or CGI, marking a major technological shift in filmmaking. A tale of two finishes. At a glance, the Batmobile from Batman and Batman Returns looks identical. The iconic silhouette, the jet intake, and the massive fins are all consistent. However, the production team made one very subtle yet significant change for the sequel that many people miss: the paint. The paint job on the Batmobile is, in fact, different in both films. For the 1989 original, the car was given a flat, matte black finish. This was a deliberate artistic choice. The matte texture made the Batmobile look less like a flashy supercar and more like a piece of dark, utilitarian military hardware. It absorbed light, allowing it to sink into the grime and shadows of Anton Furst's Gothic Gotham. When Batman Returns entered production, the film's overall aesthetic was slightly different, a bit more theatrical and expressionistic. To match this, the car's finish was changed to a deep, glossy black. This was a conscious decision to complement the updated visual look of the sequel. The new, shiny surface interacted with the set, lighting in a completely different way. It dramatically caught the highlights from the snow-covered streets and the bright neon signs of the new Gotham. This glossy finish made the car's complex sculpted curves pop on screen, turning it from a stealthy shadow into a gleaming, Gothic centerpiece. It's a fantastic small change that signals the entire tonal shift between the two movies. A comedian's collector car. Only a handful of genuine Batmobiles were ever created for the Tim Burton films. 2 primary hero cars for the actual filming, and a few others for publicity and touring. These are incredibly rare, multi-million-dollar historical artifacts. When they change hands, they usually end up in secretive private collections or as the centerpiece of a major automotive museum. This makes the confirmed location of one of the Batman Returns cars particularly surprising. It's not owned by a reclusive billionaire or a movie studio. It's owned by comedian and ventriloquist Jeff Dunham. This isn't a fan-made replica. It's a genuine, screen-used Batmobile from the 1992 film, a car that shared the screen with Michael Keaton and Michelle Pfeiffer. Dunham, as it turns out, is a very serious and passionate car collector with a deep love for iconic movie vehicles. He is so involved in the car community, in fact, that he has previously loaned other prized vehicles from his collection, like a 1S 966 Batmobile replica. to the prestigious Peterson Automotive Museum for major exhibits. This confirms the Batman Returns car isn't just locked away in a vault as a simple investment. It's in the hands of a dedicated enthusiast who actively appreciates its historical and cultural significance. It's just a fascinating and unexpected crossover. The absolute peak of dark, gothic, serious crime-fighting machinery being meticulously cared for by one of the world's most famous comedians. It really speaks to the car's massive universal appeal, crossing the lines between film buffs, car lovers, and pop culture fans. Cal Dow drafted under first. When we talk about the creation of the 1989 Batmobile, one name rightfully comes up: Anton Furst. As the film's production designer, he won an Academy Award for his revolutionary, neo-Gothic vision of Gotham City. It's only natural to assume he personally designed the car that became the city's centerpiece. However, the creative process was more collaborative, and it's important to distinguish between the visionary and the artist who brought that vision to life. The original conceptual illustrations for the Batmobile were not drafted by Furst, but by a talented illustrator named Julian Kaldau. This was a crucial partnership. Furst, along with director Tim Burton, set the grand vision. They provided the direction, demanding a car that reflected an edgier, darker Batman, and instructing the design team to incorporate elements from jet aircraft, 1930s racers, and war machines. Julian Kaldau was the artist who took those abstract, expressionistic ideas and translated them into a tangible, physical design. He was the one who actually put pen to paper, drawing the impossibly long hood, the iconic central jet intake, and the sweeping, bat-like fins. Kaldau even designed the look of the car's famous cocoon armor. This distinction doesn't take away from Anton Furst's genius. It highlights how his role as a director of design was perfectly executed by Kaldau's incredible illustration skills. It was Furst's concept, but they were Kaldau's lines that defined cinematic history. The 180-degree bat turn. The Batmobile's 21.7-foot length is incredibly intimidating on the open road, but it's a massive liability in the narrow, dead-end alleys of Gotham City. The car is simply too long to make a normal three-point turn, making it an easy target if it gets cornered. While the famous grappling hook helps with high-speed corners, a different, more bizarre gadget was designed for stationary escapes. Hidden on the car's undercarriage is one of its most specialized and surprising tools: a central foot. This single, powerful hydraulic post can extend down from the middle of the chassis, right beneath the cockpit. Its function is to lift the entire, multi-ton vehicle completely off its wheels, balancing the whole car on one point. Once the Batmobile is suspended in the air, this mechanism is capable of rotating it a full 180 degrees. It's the ultimate bat turn. This feature is the perfect exit strategy. It allows Batman, when trapped by barricades or in a confined space, to instantly reverse his direction and accelerate out without needing a single inch of room to maneuver. It's a spectacular piece of fictional engineering that directly solves the car's biggest practical weakness: its own massive footprint. It turns what should be an unwieldy land yacht into an agile escape machine, able to spin in place to face any threat. The Penguin's hijacking override. In Batman Returns, the Batmobile itself becomes a weapon against its owner, used as the centerpiece of Penguin's plan to frame the Dark Knight. He engineers a scheme to remotely hijack the car, sending it on a destructive joyride through Gotham and turning the public against Batman. He achieves this by secretly planting a receiver device on the car's undercarriage, giving him full control. But Batman's countermeasure is what's truly fascinating. It's not a simple, high-tech kill switch or an anti-hacking button. The solution is a complex, physical, multi-step process that showcases Batman's incredible foresight as an engineer. To regain control of his own car, Batman must first physically access one of the internal wiring panels hidden in the cockpit. Once inside, he activates a specific manual override. This switch, however, doesn't just sever the Penguin's connection. Instead, it triggers an emergency internal diagnostic system. The Batmobile begins to scan itself for any foreign hardware or unauthorized anomalies. Once the car's system identifies the Penguin's planted receiver as the anomaly, Batman's job still isn't done. The scan only finds the problem, it doesn't fix it. Batman then has to punch through a panel in his own floorboard, reach down to the undercarriage while the car is still moving, and physically find and rip the device off the car by hand. This multi-stage solution, a manual override triggering a self-scan, followed by a manual physical intervention, is an incredible and grounded detail. It shows the car wasn't just built to be invulnerable, but to be diagnosable and repairable in the field. The Keaton Mobile nickname. Movie cars often get nicknames, but they're usually based on the car's appearance or function, like the Tumbler or the Ecto-1. The 1989 Batmobile, however, earned a famous and affectionate nickname that is directly tied to the man who drove it. It is widely and affectionately dubbed the Keaton Mobile. This, of course, is a direct tribute to Michael Keaton, the actor who so masterfully portrayed Batman and Bruce Wayne in both the 1989 film and its 1992 sequel, Batman Returns. This specific moniker is significant because it reveals just how intertwined the car and the actor became in the public's imagination. Keaton's performance was revolutionary, defining a darker, more complex, and serious Dark Knight for a new generation. The Batmobile's design, gothic, menacing, and powerful, was seen as the perfect physical extension of his specific version of the character. The car and the actor were a perfect match, and their combined popularity was so profound that it established a massive cultural following. This specific car's design, now synonymous with Keaton, went on to heavily influence other versions, most notably the look of the Batmobile in the acclaimed Batman, the animated series. The name Keaton Mobile serves as a permanent, affectionate link, forever tying this iconic piece of engineering to the definitive Batman actor of that era. Ford's rejected timeline bid. General Motors wasn't the only auto giant that tried to get the contract to build the Batmobile. Ford Motor Company also put in a serious bid, hoping to attach their name to the high-profile project. But unlike GM's proposal, which famously failed over a major dispute about creative control, Ford's bid was rejected for a much more practical and mundane reason: their proposed timeline. Ford's engineers and fabricators, after reviewing the complex custom design, estimated they would need a full 6 months to properly construct the cars from scratch. For a fast-paced, big-budget Hollywood production with a locked-in release date, a 6-month delay just to get the main vehicle on set was considered an eternity. It would have jeopardized the entire shooting schedule, so the studio had to pass on Ford's offer. The project was instead awarded to the film's own in-house special effects team, led by John Evans. And this is where the story gets really impressive. Evans and his team, working under immense pressure, managed to accomplish the entire build, from stretching the Impala chassis to fabricating the custom body and installing the gadgets, in a staggering 3.5 months. They delivered the iconic, complex, 21-foot-long car in nearly half the time that one of the world's largest automakers said they needed. It's a true testament to the speed, resourcefulness, and ingenuity of a dedicated movie special effects crew. The Batmissile legacy lived on. The concept of the Batmobile shedding its shell to reveal a smaller escape vehicle was later used in The Dark Knight. That single line connects two of Batman's most iconic cinematic eras, Tim Burton's gothic fantasy and Christopher Nolan's gritty realism, through one shared piece of engineering genius. The Batmissile sequence from Batman Returns was a technical marvel, both narratively and mechanically. It showcased the Batmobile's ability to sacrifice its armored bulk and compress into a slim, high-speed escape vehicle when trapped. Though it destroyed the car in the process, the concept was so striking that it became part of the Batman mythos itself. Years later, Nolan and his design team revived that same core idea for The Dark Knight. When the Tumbler Batmobile suffers catastrophic damage, it doesn't simply explode or fail, it transforms. Its front assembly detaches, unfolding into the Batpod motorcycle, giving Batman an immediate escape route. This sequence echoes Burton's Batmissile moment almost beat for beat, translated into a more tactical, militarized aesthetic. What's remarkable is that this evolution bridges two vastly different cinematic worlds, one steeped in Gothic expressionism, the other grounded in technological realism. The creative lineage between the Batmissile and the Batpod proves how forward-thinking the Burton Batmobile's design truly was. Its mechanical transformation wasn't just a special effect. It planted an idea that would redefine Batman's vehicles for decades, showing that even destruction could become a tool for survival and storytelling brilliance. Real flames fueled the illusion. One of the Batmobile's most visually stunning features is that enormous circular rear exhaust. When Batman hits the boost, it unleashes a massive plume of fire, perfectly selling the illusion of a jet-powered car. In an era when computer graphics were still in their infancy, it would be easy to assume this was an optical effect added in post-production, but the truth is far more dangerous and impressive. That spectacular cone of flame was 100% real. The build team engineered the Batmobile as a functional pyrotechnic device. The car was equipped with an enormous rear exhaust that was specifically designed to expel real fire in short, controlled bursts. This commitment to practical effects is what makes the car feel so tangible and threatening. Every time you see that afterburner ignite on screen for a dramatic escape, the stunt team was operating a live, high-powered flamethrower built into the back of the car. This required incredible precision and safety coordination on set. It also meant the effect was visceral and authentic, giving the car a sense of raw, mechanical power that digital effects often struggle to replicate. This dedication to building a functional, fire-breathing machine is a huge part of why the car has such an undeniable and menacing presence. The 1989 Batmobile is so much more than just a movie car. It's a legend built on a foundation of bizarre facts and incredible what-ifs. It's amazing to realize that this 21-foot-long Gothic masterpiece, complete with real Harrier jet fighter parts in its nose, was built from the chassis of a 1967 Impala, found rusting in a London junkyard. And it almost never existed at all, had producers accepted GM's $6 million offer to scrap the design. From its stop-motion cocoon armor to its 15-second afterburner limit, the Keaton Mobile is a perfect storm of artistic integrity, practical movie magic, and pure mechanical menace. It's a testament to the build team's genius, and a huge reason why, decades later, this car remains an undisputed icon,